How to write a story for beginners. Today, we're talking about how to write a story, and before I get into it, know that this is if you're just starting to write stories, whether it's for your keynote or for a presentation or just for a contest speech. They're for anybody. It's a 5T formula. I'm going to go through them really quickly, and you can follow this, take your idea, take your message, run it through this 5T formula, and you will have a story, no doubt. The first T is for task. You need to task yourself before you task your audience. Ask yourself, what is it that I want my audience to do at the end of this? I've heard so many speeches that have a great message, but I'm left thinking, so what? Know this, when you speak, your audience is thinking, so what, from the get-go. You have a message, so what? It has to be something you put back on them. You have to come up with your idea of what you want them to think differently, how you want them to feel, and what you want them to do as a result of your message. That's number one, task. Second is tag. When you were young, you may have played tag, you're it, I'm it, going around the playground. I actually watched a movie where these guys played tag for their entire lives. It's actually a funny movie. It's called Tag. You want to tag your audience first. Before you get into your story, tag them and get into their world, their story. And you do this easily in the beginning of your speech or talk by asking a question at the beginning of your story. Have you ever done this? Have you ever thought of a time when this? Or getting them to imagine something. Imagine is a powerful word when you speak. Imagine being da-da-da-da-da and going into their minds and something that they can relate to from their own lives. You tag them, and then you go into the next step. The next step is tail. Go into your story. Stories have two major elements. They can actually have more elements to make it really, really stick. But the main things you need are number one, a hook, and number two, a hero. You need a hook, a problem, something that you have to solve. And the biggest problem you can solve is something that's internal, because we all have those internal problems. Luke Skywalker had that internal problem, am I good enough to be a Jedi? And he needed a hero in Yoda to help him use the Force. So whatever it is for you, there's a problem in your story that you needed solving, and please don't be the hero of your own story, because people look at you and say you're that special person on stage and I can't really learn from you. But if you give them something you learned or some book you read that showed you taking yourself down, deprecating yourself a little bit, showed you how to be better, then that's the hero you point to that changed you, and that makes it a much more powerful story when you have a problem and someone else or something else that helped you solve it. The next step is top. Think of climbing a mountain or a hill. The best part is getting to the top. Yes, I know they say it's not the journey, it's not the destination, it's the journey. But let's face it, when someone climbs Mount Everest, they want to get to the top. And the audience wants to get to the top of your story. They want to know, what was that turning point for you? What was that big revelation that you had? Make that a big moment in your story when something had to change. Your hero, you met them and they changed you for the better, and then you tell them how your life is better. So you got to the top of Mount Everest and you could see the horizon for miles. Whatever it is for you, give them the top of the story. Show them how your life is better. And finally, we circle back to what I call the twist, which is putting it back on your audience. Remember, they're thinking, so what? And also they're thinking, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? What can the audience do with your message? If they find something that is in your message that they can use in their own life, that's the reason that you want to speak. Remember, in the beginning, you asked them to reflect on their own life. Now take it back to them and tell them how they can use the moral of your story to help them in their lives. So remember this 5T formula. Jot it down. Take notes about your next message and go through all 5 T's, and I promise you, you'll have a story in the next hour. So get out there and speak, share, and serve.